All right, welcome, welcome. If you are new here, I'm so glad you came to join us. I hope you find this to be just a good use of your time. If you've been here before, as always, welcome back. I love seeing everybody's faces on Fridays. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to comment, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more videos on legal technology talk. So I want to start off with a quick story. So a few months ago, I had talked with a firm that swore up and down that their clients love working with them. They didn't say it with confidence, though, but they said their clients love working with them. It was more of that kind of nervous tone people use when they think something is true, but they really haven't checked in years. But during our meeting, I asked one question. If I pretend to be a brand new client right now, what would my experience look like from the moment I reached out until the moment you delivered the final result? Silence. It was like really long silence, actually. One of the people finally said, well, it depends on who picks up the phone or what the client wants. It depends on the case type. It depends on how busy we are. The last one kind of scared me when they said that. Um, but I don't judge them at all because this is exactly what most firms discover once they slow down long enough to really look. But then I asked him another question. If I asked five of your past clients to describe what makes your firm different, would they all say the same thing? And they were kind of like, oh, they might say this, but it was pretty much just silence. And that was the moment they realized something really big that can change their firm. They were doing great work, but they had no signature experience. Nothing intentional, nothing branded, nothing repeatable, nothing that clients could rave about, even if they wanted to. And what happened next really changed the entire direction of their firm. And that's what we're going to talk about. Because today we are going to talk about how you create your own signature experience, something nameable, something brag-worthy, and strong enough that your clients start repeating your language for you. And I apologize, I forgot to put the notes page in the chat. So there you go. Now you can grab that and I'll give you a second to open that. All right. Okay, so as you're opening that, we're going to just talk about something that's nameable, something that you can brag about, something clients can brag about, and something strong enough that your clients start repeating your language for you. Um, and I'm going to tell you a really good example of this. This isn't in the client experience, but when I taught workshops, one of them was Fred and Wilma. That was one of the stories that really pushed home how trusts work. And then they would come into the consultation and tell Beth, I want the Fred and Wilma story. Because they started using the language and telling other people about Fred and Wilma, and it started going out because that became almost a branded way of describing trusts, even though it's Fred and Wilma. Um, because the firms that do this, they stand out in a way that no competitor can copy. And I say this in the law firm aspect because we don't see this in law firms. And as always, if something hits home today, schedule a discovery meeting with us. We'll walk you through how to tailor your own experience and implement that into automations. So let's go to point one. What makes an experience signature? What does it actually mean? A signature experience has three qualities. Number one, it's intentional. Nothing is left to chance. Clients don't happen to have a good experience. You've designed it. If you don't have a signature experience in place and they have a good experience, that was just dumb luck because there was nothing saying they have to have a good experience. It just happened. And that's really on the team for making that happen. Number two is it has to be repeatable. Whether it's Monday morning or Friday at 4 p.m., whether you're tired or energized, whether Jessica picks up the phone or Mark picks up the phone, your client gets the same elevated journey. And then number three, it has to be nameable. You know you've got something signature when it has a name. People remember names. Names create expectations. Names make conversations easier, especially in the intake process. Um, think of it like a restaurant. Starbucks has a signature experience. You already know what to expect when you walk in. And they actually have an official name for this. I researched it. And they call it the Starbucks experience. That's what they train their employees, and that's what they're driven towards every single day. Disney has a signature experience. It's called the Disney experience. It's broken down into Disney Magic, the Disney Way, the happiest place on earth. It's engineered. Apple has a signature experience. It's called the Apple Retail Experience and the Apple Store Experience. It's extremely engineered through emotion, through feelings, what's going to happen next. But most law firms, clients get whatever version of the firm they happen to catch that day. So ask yourself, would a client say, "Oh, yeah, my attorney put me through the whatever experience. It's amazing." And if not, that's your opportunity to change the game of how your law firm runs in the perception from the client. And it's huge. Beth, do you have anything to add to that before I get into developing them?
Not really. I think you're
All
all good.
right. Perfect. Um, Point two, naming your experience so clients talk about it. A signature experience becomes powerful once you name it. You know how they say, if you take in a stray cat, once you name it, then that's it. It's over. That's your pet. Um, it's the same thing. A signature experience becomes powerful once you name it. Why? Because a name turns something invisible into something people can share. Here's a few frameworks for naming that you could use. And these are just examples to throw out. Some I like, some I don't, but I would just wanted to give you a bunch of ideas. You can use your city or region, the Helena client journey, the Montana legal pathway. And I'm going to state, I understand some of these are very corny. All I'm trying to do is get you to think outside the box. Use your firm's brand, the Ettinger efficiency method. That's not ours, but it's just an example. The Henderson framework. You can use outcome language, the peace of mind process, the clarity to closure system. Now, I did write 10 that are actually pretty good, and they're relatable names that identify your intentional client journey. And if you look on the note sheet on the very bottom, I put those. It's the client care journey, the client first process, the client support path, the client guidance path, the client success path, the client partnership journey, the client ease experience, the client clarity path, the client confidence journey, the client assurance process. Those are just some ideas. It doesn't matter what you name it, but tacking a name on it is what makes it real, tangible, and shareable. A good name does three things. It shows professionalism, it creates curiosity, and it gives clients confidence because it feels structured and engineered. Imagine a client saying, "Yeah, they walked us through their client first process. It made everything so simple." That's worlds better than they just kind of handled me, I guess. It wasn't very organized and I didn't really know what was going on. Yeah, I got the stuff I needed, but it felt a little chaotic. And when someone refers to you, they don't just say, "Call my attorney." They're going to say they have this amazing process that they walk you through. It changes everything and it makes it so easy and comfortable. That's how your name spreads. That's how your pipeline fills without more advertising, just smarter advertising. And yes, if you want help naming yours, schedule a discovery meeting. We love doing brainstorming sessions around this and helping you design that client journey that really works for the client to gain those referrals. Now, point three is where automation supports the experience. It doesn't replace it. And this is where I think things get fun. A signature experience is part human and part automation. Automation handles the consistency and flow. Humans handle the connection and the relationships. So I'm going to say that again because that's really important when you're looking at this. Automations handle the consistency and the flow. Humans handle the connection and relationships. So automations handle timely email and text message sequences, appointment reminders, document requests, status updates, progress milestones, surveys, and feedback touch points. Automation says, do what you do. We have this part covered for you. Nothing is going to fall through the cracks on our end. Humans handle empathy, active listening, reassurance, strategy, nuance, reading emotions client don't say out loud. Humans say, you matter to us and we want to help you. When you combine both, clients feel cared for, heard, informed, and confident that their legal needs will be met. So ask yourself, where in your current experience are clients confused, waiting, or guessing what happens next? And that's where automation steps in. And if you're using Lawmatics or another CRM, we can show you exactly where those touch points belong. Um, in Lawmatics, we can even help you develop the automations to support those missing links and make them become part of your firm's superpowers. This is when and why your signature experience becomes scalable. Your team doesn't have to remember every step. The system remembers for them. It's like having an assistant that for an assistant for every team member that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. They're just always working. Do you have anything on this one, Beth, now before I talk about building it?
Um, just that this really plays into let a computer do what a computer can do, and a human do what only a human can do. Because we can, there's ways to customize that experience of what the computer is doing for you, what automations are doing for you, so that it doesn't feel like it's a computer doing it. But there are always going to be certain things that it just can't do. It can't communicate that as well as you talking to that person. And sometimes picking up the phone and talking to that person is important. So don't lose that in trying to make this in building your experience that it is all automated and it's all everything, because it's not. It's a mix and it's a balance, and that is really what that balancing act is.
I love that. And not making it where somebody felt like it was robotic.
Correct.
You
Yep.
don't want your process to feel, if you go to Disneyland, it is so robotic in what it's doing. They know what ride you rode. They know how many people did this and they know it, but not one point in the experience does it feel like a robotic experience. You don't know that you were kind of funneled to go over towards this restaurant just the way they built it, but it's very robotic, very technical, and extremely calculated like an architect, like we talked about last week a little bit.
Right.
And that's what you want to consider in your experience. You don't want people to feel you're pushing them in directions. They want to feel guided in, but your process should take them in that direction. I'm not saying in what plans they choose, in how you're helping them legally. I'm saying in the paperwork and all of that, the client should feel guided, even though it is extremely robotic in how it's going to move. So, point four, build it once, deliver it forever. And I'm going to tell you that's a little misleading, but I did it on purpose. Here's the part most firms miss. Once your signature experience is designed, you only build it once, then you deliver it forever. That's the beauty of a codified client journey. And this is where I say that's misleading, because this doesn't mean you never revisit the journey you built. Always audit and improve on the client journey. This just means you're not building from scratch every time. This could mean something like the person meeting with the clients for the consultation says that the client always brings up one specific confusion they had before the consultation. Take that, you address it to intake, and it can be clarified during the intake call to eliminate that confusion in the conference room later. That is the constantly improving part of the client journey, but you're not starting from scratch. Build the entire structure how you want it, and then you can make tweaks, millimeter shifts in different directions. So let's talk about steps to make it permanent. You need to document the journey visually. And Beth, I pictured you when I was writing this. Document the journey visually, literally map it out, start to finish. Every email, every text message, every document, every touch point, every milestone. Then you're going to build the automation layer. Turn all predictable steps, things that you know are need to happen and are going to happen, turn those predictable steps into repeatable workflows and automations. Now, train your team on the human layer, scripts, tone, timing, expectations. And before I get into this, I want to just give a little history of me. I used to work in sales department at hotels, and I did work in the sales executive office for conferences at a Waldorf Astoria property. We had to go through a 2-week training on customer service. I mean, we are talking at the level of what you would expect them to train in Las Vegas, how to answer the phone, what not to say on the phone, correcting words, the tone you use, simple things like instead of no problem, it's my pleasure. And I know Chick-fil-A gets a joke about my pleasure all the time, but it's professionally trained because if you say no problem, that insinuates if something was a little different, there could have been a problem. So you never want to take somebody down that path. So even when I was doing this training at the Waldorf Astoria and talking to clients on the phone, it is engineered, it is structured. There is nothing left to chance. And that's what it means to train your team. Scripts, tone, timing, expectations. The team should know when they fill out a form or complete a step, what the automation is going to do so they can say, when we hang up, you're going to receive an email. That will confirm your consultation and have the pertinent information. It will also include a form that you'll need to fill out 3 days before the consultation and return to us. This is being specific, proactive, and intentional in setting expectations and next steps and avoiding the frustrations in the conference room. Again, it is engineered. It is not left to chance. If you're hearing intake people, or if you're yourself, you just feel like you're winging it on the phone every time, then you don't have a signature experience. I get every phone call is different, but the experience should be able to guide you through that phone call. Give it a name and roll it out publicly. Put it on your website, put it on your onboarding packet, say it in your consultations and intakes, make it part of your brand identity. This is different than your motto. Things that you use like families helping families or gaining peace of mind, things like that. This is different from that. This is just naming your experience that you are engineering. And the last one is commit to improving it every quarter. The more you refine it, the more valuable it becomes. The value comes from what clients perceive. So you always want to make sure you're developing what they want. And if you didn't attend the session on client, Beth, what was that one? Client advisory boards of
Yeah.
talking to your clients, go on our YouTube, Ettinger Tech, and watch that because that's how you get information from clients to give them value that they see that they see as valuable, not what you see as valuable, that they maybe see as just worthless. But that is the constant improvement. So imagine this, every new paralegal you hire instantly knows your client experience and commits to it. Every client walks away feeling the same level of clarity and care. Every referral partner knows exactly what their clients are going to go through when they hire you. This gains you even more referrals. So ask yourself, what would your firm look like 6 months from now if clients consistently had a top tier, engineered, memorable, brag-worthy experience? That is the power of this work. I do want to interject that a really great example of standardization of a branded client journey includes your workshop or seminar. Some firms teach a different workshop every time. If you develop a powerful workshop that covers your services, tells stories, and has a really, really strong call to action at the end, keep that every time. Offer it consistently, market it. Then clients who attend it and love it can tell their friends and family about it, and they will get the same experience and knowledge when they attend. It also makes your law firm's job a lot easier that you're not always writing new workshops. I completely understand the exhaustion of teaching the same workshop all the time. I did it. We did it 2 to 3 times a month, and I taught it for 2 or 3 years, the exact same workshop. But you know what? People referred to it, referred their friends and family, and we always had new people coming in because they knew what they were telling their friends and family to expect. And when they came in, that's what they got.
In
And
addition to that, I just want to throw this in there. In addition to that, if you have somebody who attends a workshop, because we've had this, and it sometimes gets overlooked, you have somebody that attends a workshop and they're like, "Oh, I got all this information, but I didn't quite grasp that." They come back to another workshop, they're going to see the same thing. They're going to get the opportunity to grasp the parts they missed. And where if it's a different workshop when they come back, they're starting all over from ground zero, and you're not building that education for them. You're just confusing them. So just wanted to throw that in there real quick before I forgot.
yeah, and a lot of people say, well, how do I cover all my services in one workshop? By engineering your workshop. When I taught it, we started with powers of attorney, healthcare powers of attorney, living wills. Then we went into wills, trust, all the different types of trust, Medicaid examples, because we did Medicaid. We did some VA. Covering it all in there in a smart way is how you keep your workshop the same. And if you want some tips on that, absolutely schedule a discovery and we can talk about that. Because there is a wrong way to do a workshop, and we have seen them. You can have the best workshop in the world, and it's not bringing anybody into the conference room. It's making it your time completely useless. It's not worth doing if they're not coming into the conference room, and we can help you fix that. But truly, nobody in the legal industry is teaching this signature client experience technique really at a practical level, designing your law firm signature experience. There are plenty of attorney groups to join that have systems or ideas of systems, um, but you can make your own. What we do is we teach this and we help you implement it and also give you the quantifiable metrics to see how it's working for your firm and for your clients over time to see if you need to tweak it or anything else. You can just schedule that discovery with us. So I want to talk about actionable item that you can do today. So is what you could do today is you can write down 5 of the most important feelings that you want every client to experience when they work with your firm. And I'm specifically saying the word feelings, not steps, not tasks, feelings. This is going to encompass what you want to do in your signature experience. Examples of these feelings you want them to have: confident, informed. They want to feel respected and heard. They want to feel supported. They want to feel not alone, that there is somebody holding their hand through this process. You know what you're doing. They don't. Don't leave them feeling alone in the process. These 5 feelings, as these are just examples, develop your own or use some of these because every firm is different in what they want to convey. But these 5 feelings, they become the foundation for your signature experience. You design everything around them. Or you can have everyone write five, and then at your next team meeting, take 5 minutes, bring them all together, everybody read their five, and pick five of the ones that you want to define your experience with the client and post it everywhere in your office. This will start you developing a signature client experience. And then don't stray from that. Have everybody put these five on their desk, put a poster on the wall, um, whatever you want to do, but make it known that that is your culture and that is where every client needs to feel what you're trying to convey. So Beth, before I go to key takeaways, do you have anything? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. A little while ago, you were talking about, you know, making sure that there's every time somebody calls that they're getting the same thing. Like you're going to get an email, you're going to do all this. That's why it's very important to use an intake form and to actually put everything into that intake form. And a lot of times, um, you'll get well, this person always answers the phone and they know what they're doing and they don't want to put it into an intake form. And the thing is, what if they're not there that day? What if they're in the middle of something and somebody else has to answer the phone? What if there's so many other things out there? But it's more than just that. It's also that we all get into this space where you're so much on robotic and you're doing this and you're saying this thing all the time. And then sometimes you like black out and go, what was I supposed to say next? Like your brain skips. And then what are you going to do? Because now you're not really sure what you're saying next. And having that in front of you and having that as that process is very important, and that is where your technology can really support you in that is you can make it in there. The other thing is that if you change something in the process, you get feedback on something and you're changing something that you're doing, you can make that form that you are working off of to reflect that, and somebody doesn't need to remember that this was changed. So it makes it easier all around where technology can really support you in that and make sure that that is consistent all the way through. And then knowing what to improve, knowing where you want to dive into that, that's where your client review can really help you. Because getting that feedback from the client, good or bad, because you want the bad along with the good. You want to know the bad. Sometimes with some people, to take that with a grain of salt, but you still know that you want that bad information or that bad experience because that helps you improve and make all experiences better. Yeah. And then I have another thought, but I'll do that at the end. Go ahead.
Okay. I do want to interject also. If you do want to change something, because there's a lot of times Beth will hop on with the attorney and they're saying something in the intake form needs to change. So they change it. Please make sure you're notifying whoever would be using that. Because there was times where when I was teaching a workshop, the attorney would go into my script and just add something because maybe a law had changed, but she didn't tell me. And I'll tell you, it's jarring when you're teaching the workshop and you're used to what there is. It completely throws you off. A really good example, there's these really funny videos that go around of throwing off customer service workers where they say, "How are you today?" Because it's robotic. And you say, "Well, I just found out that my friend only has 2 weeks to live." And they're like, "Oh, that's great." Uh, and you completely threw them off because they just expect you to say good. It's that same kind of feeling. So always notify if you're going to make changes. Don't just say, "Oh, we have this standardization, so when they get to that part, it'll be different." Well, when they're live with the client, it's jarring. So just know that. All right. So the key takeaways that I want you to walk away with today. A signature experience is intentional. It is engineered. I keep saying engineered because it is absolutely engineered. It's leaving nothing to chance. Repeatable and nameable. Naming your experience makes it real. It takes the invisibility away. It makes it shareable, memorable, marketable, and referable. Automation supports consistency. Humans support connection. Build the system once, deliver it forever, and refine it regularly. Firms that do this and stand out, do this will stand out in a way that no competitor can touch. I can guarantee there is minimal number of law firms that have a structured, engineered signature experience that clients can talk about. So at the end of the day, your firm deserves an experience that feels unmistakably yours. And I love that word. And I actually did a thesaurus lookup to really um, get the word I want. It is unmistakably yours. We know that that is Ettinger Law Firm or whatever. Something clients talk about, something your team is proud to deliver, and something that makes your firm impossible to compare. If you do want help designing your own signature experience or turning your workflows into a real repeatable journey, you can schedule that free discovery with us to talk about whatever you need. We're here to get you going. There is a link on there on your note sheet um, for to schedule a discovery meeting, or you can just go on our website. So before we go into Q&A, I'm going to let Beth do her comments.
Okay, I want to bring it back to something John said earlier, and he said about, he was thinking about me when he said that about laying it out and making it visual. There are several different ways that people learn. There are visual learners, auditory learners, reading, writing learners, hands-on. Like that's how people retain information. Visual is very powerful. However, there are some people who do not comprehend visually. That is very hard for me to comprehend. I'm going to tell you right now because I'm very visual. And so, if you can't understand a flow chart, I'm like, I struggle a little bit getting all of that through. Um, so, but there are very different ways that people learn that and understand. And I just want to make sure that you, when you're building this experience, that you're incorporating all of that. Um, and first of all, with your team, it's great if you have everybody that learns the same way on your team. Everybody is visual learners. You can throw stuff up on the screen, everybody gets it. Life is grand, right? That makes everything easy. But that's not reality. And the chances of that happening with you are very, very tiny. Um, so really having different ways to communicate that back and forth with the team and getting that information and also with your clients. Um, building that you when you're building your client experience, it's not just for that one client. It's not just for the auditory learning client. It's not just for the hands-on learning client. It's for everyone. And that's where like Disney does such a good job of this, and they are an example, and John knows a whole lot more about Disney than I do. But I do know that their whole experience isn't just visual. It isn't just auditory. It isn't just the stuff that you read. But when I'm watching things through my teacher eyes, when I'm watching like videos and all that stuff of people going through Disney, it's really interesting because you can see like their learning type by what they're drawn to. Like you have somebody that'll go into Disney and they'll find all those little Easter eggs. They'll find all this little stuff that's around there that other people just don't notice. They are very visual and hands-on because that's their focus. Like that's what they see. And that all plays into the bigger thing. They're learning that visual. But you have people who are constantly talking about Do you hear this? This is playing. This is doing this. This is how this person talked to me. Like they're very auditory. That's how they interact. And so when you're building that, don't focus on just one particular thing, but really spread that out and understand all of those things and use your team for that. Because if you can identify those learning types in your team, you can then use them to bounce those ideas off and also get your client feedback from that and start building off of that too. Because sometimes client feedback will come back and they're like, I don't know what they're talking about. We laid this all out in a visual. Well, yeah, but they didn't understand the visual. That's not how they comprehend things. So, but you can dive into that and build that in. So that's why that was kind of like a little deeper than the the higher level thoughts. But those are some things to build into your experience and keep in mind when you're building that experience that it is all encompassing how people retain information. And then one last thought is that your experience should not confuse people. And so names don't make an experience. Um, the experience is the experience. And I don't mean not naming your experience. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about, renaming things to where, oh, we're going to name it this and it's going to be this and this is how we're going to do this. Um, when you do that and you start to confuse people, the confused mind says no. Um, so if you start saying, and there are some very good language around like design meetings where you're designing an estate plan and things like that. It doesn't need to be called a design meeting, but it needs to be very clear of what is going to happen in that meeting. You're not going to call this our tea time meeting, and like it needs to be very clear. It needs to be very help with that understanding and that expectation and when they're coming in, what's going to happen there. So it's not just a set of names, and you can't just go rename all your stuff and say this is our experience. That's not what it is. The names need to be purposeful, and they should not cause confusion. Yeah, you're muted.
I love that you said that because the one thing I was going to say is you don't want to create confusion. And one way you can create confusion is you have this amazing signature experience that you've developed and you're excited about it. And when a client calls and they say, yeah, I want to schedule a consultation, you say, great. So is what you're going to do is you're going to fill out this form. You're going to do this. Then you're going to come to the consultation. Once the consultation is, they're going to see if you want to sign an engagement agreement. And then we're going to follow up with you to sign. Don't do that. Spoon feed them what they need for the next step. That's graspable. They can comprehend that and they can do it. You know the process, you know the feelings you want to invoke because you're going to create this amazing signature experience for your firm. Do that, but only in these chunks of where the client is at the time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They don't need to see the whole experience in that first phone call.
Yeah, I've seen some law firms send out a flow chart of what it's going to look like. Clients don't care. It's confusing, it's overwhelming. They have too many pieces of paper in front of them, and it goes on a shelf, collects dust, and they just never do anything. So don't do that. Every step should be engaging them and exciting them for the next step. All right. I think we're going to go into open Q&A, so I'm going to stop the recording.